Hello everyone, TimeToGrind here, and today I am a little under the weather, but that does not matter because there are things in the gaming industry that need to be talked about, and I want to be one of the people to talk about them. But today, I wanted to talk about Dennis Durkin returning to his role as the Chief Financial Officer of Activision Blizzard and being paid $15 million to do so. And this sounds just like a lot of corporate random words that just sounds like a bunch of men in suits and shareholders and just their kind of weird slimy language that all these people talk about, and it doesn't really seem like it means much, and it doesn't seem like it really matters to the gaming industry, but obviously it's Activision Blizzard, so obviously it has to do with Activision Blizzard and gaming as a whole. But just what Activision Blizzard has been going through lately makes all of this even more annoying. So long story short, Dennis Durkin originally was the Chief Financial Officer, so the CFO of Activision Blizzard from March of 2012 to May of 2017, and he eventually got replaced by Spencer Newman, and Spencer Newman apparently was negotiating with Netflix about working for them, and that broke Activision Blizzard's contract because I guess they had some contract things that say you can't negotiate with other companies. So he got fired, and Dennis Durkin is returning to the CFO position of Activision Blizzard and being paid $15 million to do so. And just to kind of clarify how this $15 million is getting to him, 11.3 million of it is coming to him in restricted stock tied to operating income and earnings per share targets. He has a $3.75 million sign-on bonus, and on top of that, he has a $900,000 salary and a $1.35 million target bonus. So there's a lot of money being thrown around, and in particular, a ton of money, $15 million in terms of him just going back to the CFO. And this happens all the time in corporate America and corporate everything, honestly. This is just something you see not only with the gaming industry, but just with almost every industry. You have people that work for them, the people that are actually making their games, that are putting their heart and soul into these games, make nothing. And then you have people that just sit around and just be CFOs making $15 million, and they really don't deserve any of this. But the reason this is so important, and this is actually starting to infuriate a lot of people in the gaming world, is because of all of the things that they have been doing lately, just Activision Blizzard as a whole. And in particular, the thing that hurts the most is, if you watched my video a couple of days ago, or a couple weeks ago, about how they are shutting down kind of Heroes of the Storm a little bit. They're shutting down the HGC, which is kind of the Heroes of the Storm esports scene, and the by the way, the $15 million that he's getting paid is twice HGC's budget. So they shut down the HGC because they didn't have the money for it, they didn't think they could support it, and then they just hand some random person that's not really even involved with how games are being made and all of the blood and sweat that's put into these games. He's not involved in any of that, but he's getting paid double what could have funded the entire HGC. So that in particular, but you have the recent announcement that they're kind of stopping developing Heroes of the Storm as much. There will still be some new content, but they're taking a ton of developers from Heroes of the Storm and moving them elsewhere. They're focusing more on mobile games and outsourcing things to China and stuff like that. They're getting a company that made a reskin, that made a knockoff Diablo on the phone. They're making them reskin that to make an actual Diablo game. All of these things, and on top of that, that's just kind of the Blizzard side of it. On the Activision side of it, you have just all of the controversy going on with like Black Ops 4 and the stupid monetization of that, how there's the Black Ops Pass, and then you have the terrible system of the Battle Pass that they're trying to copy from Fortnite, except there's loot boxes in the Battle Pass, and it costs even more money to get those content compared to Fortnite, and Fortnite is free. And it's crazy to me. There's all of this controversy going on. There's so many people talking out about how they're not getting paid enough for working for Activision Blizzard. Some people are saying the work conditions aren't the best. They're having to take developers from other games like Heroes of the Storm to put them on other ones instead of hiring more talented developers because they don't have the money for it. But they do, because they are just giving a random ass person just $15 million for just becoming a CFO again. And it's just, this is kind of just how corporate works, and it's just really annoying. And this happens all of the time, and this isn't really something special, but it's something I really wanted to bring up, not only because it's been recent, but because it's so frustrating to kind of see when you have all of this news that they're having to take developers from Heroes of the Storm and put them elsewhere, where $15 million, do you know how many amazing developers and artists and, you know, graphic designers and editors and everything like that, how many amazing talented people could come in for $15 million? I mean, that's more than they could ever want, but that's all getting given to a single person that's just going to become a CFO again, and they're not really involved in making the games. They're not really involved with the passion that people, I mean, I guarantee you most of these people don't even play games. All of these people up here in corporate America, especially in the gaming industry, all they care about is making as much money as possible and doing it in the scummiest of ways. So terrible you know, every time you hear about a game having a terrible microtransaction, you know, or payment model or anything like that, it's all because of people like this. These shareholders, they just want to make as much money as possible, and the thing is no amount of money will satisfy them. They always need more and more and more and more money, and they're some of the greediest people you could possibly know, and that is why this is so infuriating, because we have games like Heroes of the Storm, which is honestly one of my favorite MOBAs, being pretty much put on life support, and not because the company cannot afford it, but because they just don't want to. They want to instead pay random people $15 million to become a CFO again, and there's not much to this news story other than that. It's just kind of infuriating to listen to, and just mainly because of everything that's been going on with Activision Blizzard. But personally, I know this happens a lot. I know this happens to a lot of companies, but I would like to hear your guys' opinion, especially when it comes to Activision Blizzard, just kind of how they've supposedly been struggling, but then they do things like that. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. New videos come out every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, and like always, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day.